When I was a little girl, I used to go with my grandmother to, she was a caregiver, and I would go with her on some of her home visits. Just being exposed to my grandmother and then, other various family members that also chose to do some form of, caregiving or health care is really what got me interested. I went to Florida State and, right after high school, 2003, to begin my undergraduate nursing studies. Took all my prerequisites there, but wasn't accepted into the program. I think it was one of those situations where it's kind of who you know, because my GPA, was almost a 4.0, but still I wasn't accepted. A friend of mine told me that there was the community college that offered registered nurse program as well, and so I went over and applied, got right in with no problem. We finished our, it took us probably about, I said maybe a little under 2 years to finish. Later I applied for the bridge program at University of Central Florida, and it was about a 1.5-year program to complete my Bachelor's of Science in Nursing degree. Shortly after I was accepted to the University of Central Florida's BSN bridge program, I found out that I was going to have a baby, and so I ended up, at that time I was working just a per diem. Basically, you're not a benefits employee. They pay you a little bit higher wage per hour, but you don't get any benefits. So I applied for, Medicaid, and I was, denied. They said, oh, you make too much money, you're over income. I wasn't really working that many hours, but basically if you worked at all, they basically say you don't qualify. And I just really applied for pregnancy coverage, and I was denied. Being a single mom and working is tough, to say the least. I was on night shift. My daughter was probably about 6 or 7 months old. And so basically I was going to school during the day, doing clinical hours, and then working at night. The days that I didn't have clinicals, sometimes I would come straight from work to clinicals. I would pick my daughter up from the neighbor's house, take her to the daycare, and then do clinicals. Stay there all day, then come home, and have to get ready, to put her to bed, bath, all that kind of bedtime routine. It was tough. Sometimes I would go to work and I wouldn't have any sleep. I would have like 3 shifts. Shift work is tough at night, 12-hour shifts. I would have like, 2 or 3 hours of sleep a day, because I'm only able to sleep during the day hours when she's taking a nap. I couldn't afford to pay for childcare for the times that I wasn't at work and the times that I was. So when I was off, she was home with me. So I moved to Houston in 2011. I did some work at the hospitals for a couple of years, and then I applied to the program, University of Texas here in Houston. And that program has a reputation for being, very, very competitive. It's one of the top 5 programs in the nation. So everyone's like, oh, you won't get in, you won't get in. Apply to this school or apply to that school. And I almost didn't apply, but I just went ahead and said, hey, might as well try. So I applied, got right in. Essentially, once I graduated, I was just really focused on, making sure I take my boards, pass, so I can get licensed right away. Graduated in December of 2015, took my test in January, passed, got licensed in February, and then I got my first job in April of 2016. So maybe in July is when I really decided that it's something I could do myself, just because of that exposure. There was nobody else. There was no physicians standing around. There were no managers. It was just pretty much us. We're doing basically, like I said, all the roles. So the light bulb went off pretty immediately. Once I learned the operations side of the clinic, and being there and just being the sole provider and, seeing all the patients, especially the volume, 40 plus patients a day, and realizing that no one had to really stand over me, to still be able to deliver that level of care. I really felt like I could just do it myself elsewhere. Here I am seeing some, hundreds of patients a week. If you think, 40, 50 patients a day, and I'm there, 4 days a week, that's a lot. And so I just really didn't feel like I was, getting or maximizing, I guess, my potential career-wise as a provider. So Kimberly Cares is the clinic name that I chose, essentially because I feel like that just in healthcare in general, especially here in the U.S., is just so profit-driven. It's like most of the times when you enter a clinic, especially the busy locations, it just seems like people don't care about you. They're just kind of going through the motions. They check you in, they rush you to the back to see the provider, and then you're out. That personal touch, that one-on-one is kind of missing. And then also too that people don't have adequate access. So, there are a lot of people who don't have a lot of money. And so, if you find yourself in a situation, like myself, uninsured, then I just feel like it's unfortunate that you can't get a certain level of care. Like I almost went without prenatal care. Like I was considering not going back because of the cost was so excessive, and there was no other option for me. I didn't qualify for, programs for one reason or another, and I think that happens to a lot of people. The area that I chose and the population that I'm choosing to serve is more based on, my personal experiences with, not having insurance and not having adequate health coverage, and the visits being so expensive, that people would rather avoid going to the doctor and getting the care, than to actually go and pay for the visit. What makes Kimberly Cares different from any other, health clinic is that, we are going to try to, basically deliver care without regard to insurance status. So we're trying to make it affordable. You come in, you're in a nice facility, you get, great care, but you're also able to afford that care. Whether you have insurance, don't have insurance, it's not going to be $200 later because, you had a sore throat. Our model is more so, for those patients, families that are, falling through the cracks, essentially.